So in our very first story, we have a new film being, which is yet to premiere at the Toronto International Film Festival and is made by none other than Idris Elba. And for those who may not know, maybe this is the first time you are discovering that Idris Elba is not just a filmmaker in front of the camera, but he's also a director and he has done a couple of projects. But he wears many hats, from being an entrepreneur, and prior to even his film career taking off, he was a DJ, he is a musician, he wears so many hats. And well, quite recently, earlier part of this year, he came to actually solidify his plan of building a standard Hollywood studio, not just in Ghana, but in a couple of other countries across board to help build, and fortify the African film industry. And it looks like, in line of what he intends to do, this film that he has made together with Ebony Life's Mo Abudu, this film is more like a blueprint to showcase what it is yet to achieve for the entire film industry in Africa. And there's an article published in the Hollywood Reporter that captures a little bit of what he has in mind. So let me just take a brief read of a few of the paragraphs to give us an idea what he has in mind. So Idris Elba's expands vision for African cinema with That's to Dreams drama. The actor turned director has brought his Lagos set short film produced by Mo Abudu with a star 10 by Seal to the Toronto International Film Festival. And that's a big, personality involved in this production. The one of the iconic musicians in the world, based in the UK. So it says that Idris Elba's latest directorial effort, That's to Dreams, is set in a Lagos nightclub looking to launch local singing talent, and was produced by Nigerian mogul Mo Abudu and has a star 10 by Seal. But that nightclub, in its English and Yoruba language, shot to world premiere at the Toronto Film Festival on Sunday, is also a metaphor for the Luther and Hijack stars' broader vision for African cinema. We want to highlight talent, and not just actors and singers, but the talent of African storytelling, the variation of stories, the talent of people watching this African story and really relating, Elba told the Hollywood Reporter. That's to Dreams sees Millicent, the owner of the legendary yet dying Lagos club, played by Inse Ikpe Etim, entrust her legacy to her shy daughter, Bisi, played by Constance Olalunde, a former Nigerian Idol contestant. But first, Millicent must introduce Bisi to Johnson, a long-lost soldier father, played by Seal, amid family tensions. Ultimately, music between Bisi and her father, as they get to know one another, becomes their redemption in the short film final scene. A soulful duet between Bisi and her father, titled Mama, serves to revive the nightclub and unite the family. Let me read this last two paragraphs. It says that, but Elba, as an actor, musician, filmmaker, entrepreneur, and philanthropist, has also used That's to Dreams as a prototype for a film for his ongoing work with Abudu to incubate African creative talent in front and behind the screen. The goal is closing the gap between their potential and access to the world market. For Abudu, the promise of That's Dreams is helping pry open the world market for a too hidden African industry that has been too long denied opportunities by distributors and TV programmers. Commissioners would rather play it safe and just tell a story that they've told 20 times rather than take a fresh story, she told THL. So it's quite a lengthy article. I will leave the link in the description for you to take a look at, because it's very crucial for Africa in this era we find ourselves in. I must indeed commend Idris Elba and Mo Abudu for using their influence they have to bring in attention to the cinema industry in Africa. And I'm happy about the fact that they are not looking at just one country, but Africa as a continent. Over the period of episodes I've done, my passion for this whole podcast that I do is to one day see a united uh, cinema market for Africa rather than individual industries. Yes, individual industry should prosper, which is good because then that would form the foundation blocks to build the African film industry. But then, if you want to see a properly thriving film industry, it cannot be done with just individual countries minding their own business. It has to be integrated. And that is what I see Idris Elba and Mo Abudu doing, and they've been doing marvelous works over the years. They've chosen not to, sit in the comfort of what they have in the UK and in the, US and the industries that they play in, but bringing the much needed attention to Africa, which we have so much talent that I can say that we've barely scratched the surface. And I'm glad that is the pursuit that they are embarking on this instant. So with the Mo Abudu, with the Dust to Dreams storyline, I like the idea of it being a metaphor. Just as we read in the article, you could see that Idris's focus is not just in terms of the film industry, neither is it just in terms of the music industry, of which both industries he's had experiences in. If you take a look at his career, he's done basically almost everything with regards to music and that of film. But he sees so much potential in Africa that his desire is to bring much needed attention, not just to the film industry, but to also the music industry and all other talent, creative industries on the continent. It was for this reason that he and his partners, together with the Afri-Exim Bank, has lent enough money to invest in Africa. Money's worth over $1 billion just to invest in the creative arts industry. So they have, I think, the Connects, which is being powered by the Afri-Exim Bank, under which this production, the Dust to Dreams, is being, produced. So it is indeed a good thing that he's doing, particularly looking at the fact that there's a lot of talent in Africa, but just as I did a story, I think yesterday, Kofi Ajololo said something about the fact that there is talent in Ghana and other places in Africa, but usually it's the exposure that it needs, that it lacks. And I'm glad that is what Idris, using his fame together with Mo Abudu, to bring down much needed attention to Africa. And if you read the article, it does say that Mo Abudu stressed on the fact that this would help bridge the gap between talent and the market, and also do away with the commissioners who are only much interested in playing it safe, when perhaps given opportunities to new voices in whether cinema or even music or any other aspect, would open a new era of talent or creative productions that would perhaps even bring about a revolution in the world. But unfortunately, most commissioners or curators of African arts want to play it safe, particularly for the market. So most storylines toe a particular way just to satisfy a market out there. And I remember when I did another story, one UK professor was saying that it is about time that Africans tell their own story from their own perspective, the way they know it best, not rather serving an audience out there, which indeed you cannot do away with. But with time, people get to understand and gravitate towards the stories being told without, batting an eye. And that is quite an interesting thing that they are pursuing. So I'm really happy about that fact that he's using this Dust to Dream film. That's Idris Elba is using a Dust to Dream film starring Seal, who also wields so much influence to bring an idea as to what he wants to do in Africa. If you care to know, he's soon enough he'll be building a multiplex studio in Ghana, and not just in Ghana. He's also looking at Ghana's own is actually far advanced, but he's also looking at building one in Kenya, Tanzania, and I think another country as well. So, and Senegal. So his idea is to uplift or upgrade the value chain when it comes to particularly the film industry in Africa. And there's no way you can do it without the requisite, infrastructure. And that is the only way you can bring investors from out there to film in Africa or in Ghana or any other parts of Africa. So I'm glad that they are using their influence to bring that leverage and, in order to attract investors and talents from all over the world to pay attention to what Africa has. And we do have a lot, but unfortunate thing is that we lack the infrastructure. We lack sometimes, even most importantly, the data, and also we lack the necessary policies to help reinforce an industry that is much more productive and lucrative than we assume. Even at the states as we find ourselves in, we literally make close to around $10 billion a year totally in Africa. I'm sure because there isn't much, reliable data, you wouldn't be able to prove as to the exact amount we are making yearly. So this is something quite troubling, but with this initiative taken by Idris Elba and Abudu's call to action for the African diaspora, I think it is going to help build and fortify the film industry in Africa as we see it fit. So let me know what you think with regards to this particular project Idris has done, Dash to Dreams, and whether that would indeed bring the necessary skill sets and investment and attention to Africa as they are so pursuing, and how this model can challenge Western dominated distribution networks. Whatever your thoughts may be, kindly leave it in the comment section down below.